Well, my name is Martin. I started a company 21 years ago, and we only use Perl and assembly and C. And less than a year ago, we thought perhaps we must know something about JavaScript and Ember. And we started learning. We produced one site so far, but I didn't do it. It was one of my people. I try to learn Ember also, and I like to show what I've seen and what I've found out about it. Perhaps there are some experts in here who say I've done it all wrong. But I hope I hope not. I have prepared the presentation in the application I like to talk about. This is the standard Bloggr app from Yehuda Katz and Tom Dale. So it's Tom Dale who wrote this as just a view, a Bloggr view. You can download it everywhere, and originally it's one index HTML file and one app.js file, and it produces this Bloggr app. But I didn't want one file and one index file and one app file, so I like to do it better. Ember CLI surfaced just when I started to get serious, I think, about Ember, and it's a command line interpreter for Ember, and it generates files for you, and it also combines files for you. So the application is not one file, but a lot of files in a lot of directories, nicely structured. And the end result, if you can also build a distribution from it, is just a few files, very compressed and very fast. So the end result is better than if you write your own, just one index.html file and one app.js file. So Ember CLI, I also like to have a backend, so I experimented with FixtureAdapter as a backend and Pouch and CouchDB as a backend. That are two separate things. I will come to that. Ember CLI is something different because it also uses ECMAScript 6. You can write ECMAScript 6 now, and it will transpile it to ECMAScript 5. So you write the future now, and you have to learn a lot about the separation of things. Objects can't talk to each other. Everything is separate. So you have to do a lot more than you used to do, because it was all in one namespace and all one place in ECMAScript 5 or perhaps 3. So you have to learn a lot about ECMAScript 6. I think it will improve, if everybody uses Ember CLI, it will improve the adoption of the ECMAScript 6 way to do things. This is what you see in Ember for people who don't know Ember. On this place, there's only one index.html file, and everything else, the posts and the ID you see here, is all fake. So it's the router in Ember, it all routes back to the index.html file, which generates all this from the Ember structure. I will show you in a moment more. So Ember CLI is what you need is Node. You can just download it. You can use Git. You don't need it, but you have to download some examples, I think, from GitHub to get started. So install Git. If you generate a new project, all the git ignore files and all the git information is already in place in your Ember CLI app, so you don't have to do anything, and you don't have to know anything about them from the start. So you get used to Git working with Ember CLI, if you don't know it yet. I think it's nice to have the HTTP server. It's also in Node HTTP server to view outside your Ember CLI project the build result that's in the dist folder. So what you now see on screen is this is the HTTP server that's running this presentation from the dist folder on port 8080. And it has nothing to do with Ember CLI. It's just a separate thing. You can ship it to anywhere, and it runs. If there are questions, or if I'm talking too fast or too slow, please say so. If you npm install, you have to do it in a global place. That's something Node says Node. So if you don't know Node, the -G puts it in the global place, so it's available everywhere. Bower is used. It's a thing to get extra modules in your JavaScript modules in your application. So you need Ember CLI and Bower. Then you are good to go. If you generate your first app, you only have to do from the command line Ember new my new Ember app, and it generates a lot of things. It generates this list of directories and files. You see a lot of boilerplate, and you don't have to know anything about them. You just have to tweak them, and it will your application will explode. So it starts with almost nothing. In the new Ember CLI, there's a difference between vendor and Bower components. Bower components is a directory that's not generated, but comes from the Bower install, and that's where all the modules Ember CLI knows about. And if you've got your own special lib, you can put it in vendor. It's changed recently because 1 month ago, I think, it all went to the vendor folder.
Martin, do you include Ember also with Bower?
No.
It's already included with the...
Yeah, if you run the Ember new, it also runs Bower. So on the last two lines, it installs the packages and Bower packages. Just there, you see on the last 2 lines that it just runs.
I think Ember is included in the Bower file generated by Ember CLI.
Okay, yeah. And these are your application files.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you...
Question.
Yeah.
Normally, you place your packages in the Bower JSON. What's placed in the vendor? It's
only things for
the Ember stuff.
The non everything stuff. Your own special.
After compilation, because normally the
No.
Bower packages are.
Stuff you would basically include in your repository.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no external dependencies.
Yeah.
Yeah, your own special lib.
Yeah.
You don't.
Okay.
You haven't published on GitHub yet, and
Okay.
So add-ons, CLI add-ons would go to the Bower components folder? Or-
Yeah.
Add-ons I
Yeah.
think are done by package.json
Yeah,
and like CLI add-ons.
yeah.
And normal in-browser plugins, like for example moment.js or anything like that, that would go in bower.json.
Okay.
Because
Yeah, you have the node stuff and the front end stuff
Yeah.
basically.
like
Yeah.
stuff that needs to do some special stuff, like Ember components, which may also need stuff on the server side, is done in package.json, and the rest is done in bower.json.
Here you see the package JSON from the standard that's generated, and this is what goes in into the Bower component. And Bower file. So this is the Bower. This is what Bower installs if you run a default app, and you can add stuff from other people in here. But if you write your own and you don't want to add it anywhere, you have to put it in vendor. So now I've got this app generated, this new app, and I don't know what it does, but I can start it with the Ember command serve. It will start the server for me with live reload. And live reload reloads your browser when something changed, when you added something. So that if some people don't like it, you can disable it now. If you write Ember CLI, that you see now how fast it's built. It's not fast, I think. On all my production PCs, I now use SSDs because I think you need it. So if you want to write Ember CLI, I think you also need SSD hard disk drives to speed up your work. So the application that's now served is here and it's working. I don't know why and how, and when you do it for the first time you don't understand anything. And then you look at the file tree and you find out, hey, there's an app. And you find the router. This is the base router function from Ember, that's where everything comes from. Yeah, you have to do this right because otherwise your application is doing absolutely nothing. There are no routes, so you don't learn anything from this as a beginner. Then you try the templates because that's the simplest start. So you see that's welcome to Amsterdam. Oh. And then, if you save this, you see a moment later, if you've got SSD, as I said, you see it a moment faster.
Get on with it.
I don't know. I don't know what's happened, but that's always demoing time. The reload perhaps didn't do it or something. Yeah, the automatic reload didn't do his thing, but it's supposed to reload automatically. So now, if you just save in your editor some file, it also changes on the output and it is generated all directly, so you can see what you're doing. Yeah, in a live direct part. I don't know if I have to show Ember CLI some more or get on with some more things I've learned, because there you can talk for hours, I think, about Ember CLI. I don't know if beginners need to know more. You have to explore this, I think.
Is there a good guide to Ember CLI?
Very. Yeah, it's embercli.org or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a good website with good documentation, and And what I think is best now, Ember sucks, Ember Data sucks because Stack Overflow information is old and it's not working and it's all wrong. So if you search Ember CLI, it's new and there's no old wrong stuff. So it all works. So yeah, that's a big pro. So perhaps we have to change the name of this application in for completely new one to get Stack Overflow working in the future. Don't think they will do it.
Scope your search.
Yeah.
Last 30 days.
Yeah, then you have to take, if you don't use Ember CLI and you look on Stack Overflow, you have to take a look at the date.
Yeah.
Because it's too old, and you don't have to look at it. Yeah, well, I demoed it. It's just one page with one thing, and you can go from there. Well, you can use the FixtureAdapter from Ember Data to get some kind of fake backend and create your application. I wanted to have a real backend, and that's when you've got the problem. You can do it in Perl, like if you're coming from the Perl world. But I didn't like that, and you can do it in Django if you're from the Python world. But yeah, you're still old school, I think, because I think everything has to be in JavaScript now. So I found Fortune.js to be a really simple JavaScript backend for prototyping your application. I started using it, got it to work. This is all that's needed. So this is the complete server, and that's very nice because the problem started when I'm also a Git person, so I like to have the server in the same place as the Ember CLI app, and then that didn't work. I couldn't integrate the two things because the broccoli thing merged everything together and it crashed because Fortune started, and it was as a beginner for me it was not clear how to do it, so I created a client folder in my Git project and a server folder and created them separately. Perhaps that's the way to go, but I liked to have it in the original structure from Ember CLI, but now I have to move it to a client folder. There's an JSON API adapter for that's not only for Fortune JS, but it gets to the Fortune JS because that's the standardized on JSON API functions. JSON API is not the same as the RESTAdapter. That's included with Ember, so it doesn't work. So Fortune JS you can't use the RESTAdapter.
I have a quick question. Is this import and export stuff, is that from Ember CLI?
Yeah, you need to do that because otherwise you don't have a DS or you don't have Ember.
ES6 basically.
Yeah.
Oh, ES6, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's new. So you have to learn that everything is separated now. You can use your own namespace and you don't. There's no problem if you mix things. I think it's the way to go.
And is that an Ember CLI thing or an ECMAScript 6 thing? Because
ECMAScript 6.
ECMAScript 6, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but Ember CLI transpiles it to ES5, right?
Yeah.
To RequireJS,
Yeah.
or something like RequireJS.
Oh,
I
is that
think
its
they have
own,
their
or
own
is it use require?
module loader.
It uses its own loader, but it's the same syntax as Require. So
Okay.
you get it defined and
Yeah, that's what I see in Ember Data when
exactly.
Read through.
Yeah, Ember Data, and I think Ember are now built with Ember CLI.
okay.
So it's the same.
Yeah, I think everything is changing to Ember CLI, and
Yeah.
I heard they will change it in the future to Ember. I don't know. But
Yeah,
that will
in the
confuse
future they
the.
want to, I think, they want to import Ember CLI as an Ember project.
I hope not, because then the Stack Overflow
It will reboot all over again. Yeah.
Yeah, models. If you're in the old Ember world, you define your models in the app.js and you have your index HTML, and now you have in the app you have the models directory, and if you have posts, like in this application you also have, I used it to make this, that you have the posts route, you also have the post model, and the post model it has this structure.
Nice use of Ember Data 0.9, beta 0.9, with the date transform. Just a geeky reference.
Wasn't it there before?
No, that's new in that, like, yeah, they broke API again, of course.
If you're
Ember
way ahead, you
0.9?
don't have any, and you don't
Agent, right?
feel the pain.
It's now
Just a
beta
string for
10,
date,
so-
or?
No,
what
no,
before?
they'll
Ember
take
Data
like
0.9.
ISO,
Alright.
whatever,
Oh,
format
okay.
a date and make it a JavaScript date.
Oh yeah, that bit.
I will start what I've generated with Fortune. So the structure, as I said, for me, is a client and a server. So in the client, I've moved my complete project one directory deeper, so to get it all on in Git, right? But I don't like it. I left Fortune a while ago, so I don't feel the pain, but it is not nice. The node server starts. I've shown you the short file, and that's all there is to the Fortune server. It's now listening on this port. And I can talk to with my Ember application. I can talk to that port. I hope. Yeah. So this is the Tom Dale's Bloggr example with a backend. I can create a new thing, and it will store this on the backend. So now it's in my Fortune.js local file. It has a local database in it, so it's stored somewhere on this hard drive. I don't know in what database format, but it's managed by the Fortune.js thing. I find it stable. I don't like the REST API, because when I looked at it, the person who was developing it, the creator wasn't maintaining it very good, and now I've seen just yesterday I see that somebody else picked it up, and it changed it to ECMAScript 6, and it looks way better. So the new adapter is probably fine, but when I was looking at that, it was not good, I think, but it worked. I could, as a beginner, I could create a website, and if I now close the browser and open it, the data is still there. So yeah, it's on the back end, and it's not in Fixture. That was nice, and I had to write, of course, the change. You can change this data. You can create more, and you can delete items.
So you didn't use the regular RESTAdapter for this, right?
Because the JSON API that's used for Fortune uses if you retrieve one item, it has an array of one, and the RESTAdapter expects
An object.
yeah,
Yeah.
one object and not an array of one.
So how did you write your own adapter? Or
No, I just used the standard.
or adjusted it?
But
They supplied the JSON API adapter, right?
Yeah, but it was not.
where is it supplied? Because it's not in the source. Like
There's no.
Oh, I can show you.
Oh, no,
it's
but
it's not officially like in Ember Data. So
the JSON?
No, it's
Yeah,
It's
Fortune,
like a
Fortune
subclass of, like it's like JSON API,
and then
REST.
you have
and
active
then
model.
active, yeah, then it goes REST and then JSON API. But I guess there's a custom adapter for Fortune.
No, it's not Fortune
because
related.
Fortune uses the JSON API specification.
Oh, okay.
But if you look at like the Ember Data documentation, there's no reference of the JSON
Yeah,
API.
but you need
Just
to dig
REST
into
or
the source.
active model.
Yeah, because they don't, basically they say, okay, well I know this because I'm doing Ember Data stuff right now.
Mhm.
And they say, okay, most people in most regular REST situations will need to use subclass the REST API.
Yeah, exactly.
But, so they don't document that, but there is a note that says, yeah, that's just for most people. If you have a specialized case, you may want to use the JSON.
So what's the difference then?
It's in that specification of if you retrieve one item, for instance, you
Side loading.
also, but also if you retrieve one item, you get an array from a JSON API, and if you retrieve one item from the RESTAdapter, it doesn't expect that.
I see. It's lower level, right?
Yeah, it's lower
Yeah.
level, yeah.
But
So
it's really hidden in the source well then, because if you look at just the source tree of Ember Data, I'm looking at it now, I'm like,
But
where the fuck is it? I
it's
can't
there,
find it.
it's there, but you know, unless you have a specialized case, you won't use it, right?
Yeah, exactly, right.
So they use it internally?
But if you're
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
but if you're your starter, you have to struggle a lot to find this.
Yeah, well, because
Exactly.
you know,
I'm like,
the
beginner's luck.
REST API overrides bits of JSON API and the active model.
Yeah, you see here the
overrides
Ember,
everything. Yeah.
Ember JSON API I used. I had to include the Git reference because it's now changed for a much better JSON API adapter, I think. But I had to use the original file because otherwise it would break my demo. So if you
Yeah, exactly. That's,
yeah.
They separated it because it's no longer in the Ember Data source. Like you have the JSON adapter, but you like the JSON
okay,
API
yeah.
adapter is a whole different story.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like when they started working on the active model adapter, they came up with a whole specification of how JSON API should work, which is also
Yeah.
on JSONAPI.org.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And this follows that convention, but that's in a different source. So you need to
Okay.
include that Ember JSON API because otherwise it won't work.
Yeah, but if you do it again, you have to not use this because this is all. This is
Yeah,
all.
this is specific commit.
But where's the
Starting
Ember,
Wally.
where's the Ember data?
It's not a core member, right?
Ember Data is in Ember CLI.
It's just a project.
So
I
you
don't
don't
know- I
have
don't know
JSON
that one.
API is a project of Judicats and Tom Dill.
Yeah, no, but the
Oh, that
JSON
one.
Ember
Yeah, no,
API
I
is
don't
from
know.
Dali Wali.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
think
okay,
it's
so
core.
this is
You
a
don't know
custom-
Dali Body? Come on, man.
Okay, so this
I
is
don't know.
like, so JSON API is a custom adapter that has nothing to do with Ember Data, or it
Exactly.
builds on Ember Data.
But
It has
It's
nothing
not
to do
in
with
Ember
Ember Data, except for the fact that JSON API was thought of by Tom Dill and Judicats. Which
Yeah,
is
yeah, right.
sort of complicated.
There's also a competing standard called HAL,
Yeah.
which is exactly, accomplishes the same goal as
Yeah.
JSON API, so it's confusing.
But I think Ember Data does side loading, right?
Yeah.
It depends
Yes,
on
but
the
it's-
adapter.
What I think that happened is basically while they were doing Ember Data, they were also thinking like, okay, what's the best convention to do JSON data transport? And at some point, they separated like, okay, we're building Ember Data, and we're thinking of the best way to do JSON data transport, and they thankfully separated those two
Yeah,
projects
yeah.
because otherwise the API would change every month.
Yeah, okay.
So now there's JSONAPI.org, which specifies
Yeah,
like,
no, I
okay,
know,
this is
yeah.
the best way, and then Ember Data has the RESTAdapter and the active model adapter, but no JSON API adapter. Because
But when I looked at it, it was crap. But now, but now people have started to improve it. I saw, I think Stefan Penner get into it. So I think it's now stable. But I've left that path. So.
Cool, I didn't even know it was there, that package.
Yeah, I actually assumed that the JSON API
No,
was actually part of it. Was
no,
the
because
base.
yeah, no, the JSON adapter is like the most basic adapter, and the JSON API adapter is, I'm probably assuming, the most advanced adapter there is.
Perhaps I can show in this adapter the controllers. So this is the create post I've come up with. You also have to learn about a lot of things if you're new. You create some kind of post, and if the post is created and you want to transition to, and that's deprecated now, because everything is moving very fast. So this is all. This is from a few months ago, but it's already old. You have to wait for your data to be put on the back end. So you can transition to the new post if it's not there. So we are now also in promised land. In my Perl and assembly backend I didn't have that, but the new post save does give a promise back, and the transition to waits for that promise. So the transition to only happens when the post is completed. So it has to go to the back end. But if the promise is resolved, it will transition to the new post, and you can start editing on that. And you also have to define the delete.
Sorry, Martin?
Yeah.
I think it's conventional to use the router as the place to save and retrieve data from the server, and only use the controller when you don't need to persist the data you retrieve from the server. So saving models back from the server, the convention is to define the action on the route instead of the controller.
Mm-hmm.
So like let the event bubble to the route. Right?
Yeah, but it starts here and then it bubbles to the.
Yeah,
to
it
the
first
route.
checks the view, I think, then the controller, and then the route.
Mm-hmm.
And the route normally, I think the convention is to save and retrieve data from the server on the route.
I was thinking about moving it to application route, because if it's not on the post route, it will search it on the application route, and if you write, I think, the CRUD code correct, you don't have to do it ever again. So if you write it on the application route, you don't have to do it all the time. But, I know what you are saying, and this is where I started on the beginning.
No, but I made exactly I did the same thing.
Do you know why that's the convention?
I think it's a clear separation of concerns. I mean, the route is responsible for looking up, okay, which view to render and which data to load, and the controller is responsible for formatting that data to present it to the view. I think.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's like how the components work anyway, right? Like they don't have this route component, so you can't do this.
Yeah, I mean,
Issues, right?
it still works, but
Yeah.
It clearly states
Can
the controller decorates the model, and
yeah.
that's what it does.
Yeah, and the route for this application is finding the data now from the store. So
Yeah, so this would also be the place to save it back to the server. I think you can use, instead of grabbing the model from the controller, you can just use current model, and you also don't need to set the title. I think it will all be one bound property. So that would be conventional.
Mhm. That's very hard to know what's conventional. And
Yeah,
I
I
didn't-
also think it's not very well documented.
I also think we're talking about routes, but it took me 2 months to realize there was a router and a route, and
Yeah.
it's nothing, and there's nothing to do with each other. It's completely different.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you're a beginner, good luck. You have to work hard, I think. I think Ember CLI helps because it structures your application. I will move on to my next try.
29 seconds. Wow.
Yeah.
Sweet.
No.
For rebuilding?
No, for initial build,
Oh, okay.
but still.
Yeah, because I listened to a talk by Joe somebody,
Joe
Liz.
Yeah.
Joe Liz, who JavaScript Java talk. She talks about broccoli. It's really cool, but she didn't talk about 29 minutes.
Yeah, they're working on it like
I
crazy.
think
Yeah, there
there's
is
a problem in the pipeline somewhere. I
There's-
tweeted about this. I tweeted to Stephen Planner about this, but I don't know if that's still the case. But I tweeted, should I have 10-second rebuild times every time?
You can include the SYN linking branch of Ember CLI now in your project instead of just using a version.
I think it does that automatically. From
No.
No.
No, it
No.
moves every file on
Okay.
every rebuild. So that's the reason it's slow.
Hence
Yeah.
the SSD, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the SSD. And but if you use the SYN linking branch, it pulls in all the latest broccoli stuff because it's the basic problem that they can't do this quickly is because it's not only Ember CLI, it's like I think 5 or 6 broccoli repositories which also need to update to use SYN linking.
Yeah.
And that's so there's now a SYN linking branch in Ember CLI, and if you use that, it uses all the SYN linking branches of all the broccoli components,
Ah, I see.
and then all of a sudden you get about a factor 10 speed up.
I think it's supposed to be. I think Stephen Planner said something about it normally being about under a second for
Yeah.
normal
I
rebuild
think
time.
the linking is now.
Yeah, well, I've tried it.
So
It was a bit of a hassle to get it working, but if you have it working, you speed it up by 10 times.
Are you guys using it? You are?
Yeah, we're not using it in production yet because we're still using Ember CLI 0.44, and it's now 0.46. And in the latest master, they've changed the config conventions again.
Yeah.
So I was like, why the fuck isn't it working? But I tried it and I got a proof of concept working with SYN linking, but I'm just basically waiting it out now for them to like officially release it because I don't think it will take a lot of time.
Okay.
Because the proof of concept already works. It builds the complete app and a rebuild is 600 milliseconds. So
Yeah, and that's also what I'm under 5 seconds for an SSD always. So I don't make anything. I don't do the linking.
Yeah, but,
Oh yeah, but
but
this is
I
not
also
SSD.
have an SSD.
Alvin has a MacBook Pro, or no,
Air.
MacBook Air, which also has like a flash drive,
Yeah.
and he has to wait 10 seconds. So I'm always like, you're waiting, dude. He's waiting all the time, so it's a bit of a pain in the ass.
Well, as I said on the JSON, they retrieved the array. JSON API, the array thing is something different. And some guy on GitHub supplied a fix to the I'm not saying it right, to the Ember JSON API adapter. And that guy said if you apply this patch, it will work with just work with all things. FixtureJS will be fixed and it will supply one item if you retrieve one item. It was not picked up, so I asked the guy from if I apply this to FixtureJS, will it work with the standard Ember's RESTAdapter, and he said yes. But perhaps you should try Pouch, which I'm working on, Ember Pouch. So I tried it and I'm very happy. CouchDB is an old project that's an in Erlang written database. It's an Apache project now, and it's forked to Ember, to Couchbase also. That's a C rewrite that's commercially very active and very big. And it all works the same.
Wasn't there like bad news a year ago?
Bad news, huh?
I don't know.
Some sites imploded and they're using performance limits.
I don't know. CouchDB is the backend. You can install it on your local machine. You can use online services like IrisCouch. I believe Cloudant is from IBM. Couchbase is the C rewrite from the same base. But PouchDB is the JavaScript rewrite from CouchDB, and it runs in your browser and it runs on the back end. So if you install PouchDB in your application, it stores data in IndexedDB or WebSQL, and it works on your mobile phone and on your all browsers almost, and it syncs back to the CouchDB server, to your backend.
So, if I understand it correctly, it's like a front-end client-side database which syncs to a backend.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can use it only on the front, you can use only the backend, or you can use both, and then it syncs all ways. CouchDB syncs also to other CouchDB servers, so you can put up a complete cluster of databases everywhere in the world, and it should not go down. It has all kinds of versioning, so if you delete everything, you can always go back to a moment before. So it's almost impossible to get down, I think.
How do you use that with Ember Data then? If it's already
There's an Ember Pouch adapter for Ember, and that is not an Ember CLI compliant adapter yet. I hope it will be, somebody will rewrite it to Ember CLI. So you have to include in your Broerse.js, you have to.
I think this is package.json, right? This is,
Looks like a package.
I think
This is the Ember CLI Brock file, and if you install Ember Pouch I also installed Moment and Marked to get this markup you see is from Marked. So Marked is a JSON JavaScript library for Markdown. It's GitHub compatible, and it uses tables. So not all Markdown libraries use tables, and I liked Marked.
I think this has to be
This
the
is-
Bower.json.
yeah, either one, not, yeah.
Yeah,
Either
because
one, either
jQuery
one.
is
I typed it wrong, perhaps.
there's jQuery and Ember, so it's Broerse.
Yeah.
Excellent.
He did it on purpose.
I can see my I can see my keyboard.
This is a very clever demo.
Jason,
Yeah, now you just
Refresh.
think the OM.
Well, it's synced back to my Pouch. It's in my Pouch database now, and also on my local CouchDB server. This information. So it's very simple to install it. You only have to include things in the Bower file and use Bower install to get them in your project. In your adapter, you specify that you want to use the Ember Pouch adapter, and it works. You can, if you remove the second line, with the live is true part. It will only work in your browser, so you can use this application without a backend, and you don't have to install CouchDB or anything. It just works. And you can also, if you remove the Bloggr part from the first line, it will only sync to the backend, and it will not use the IndexedDB local storage to handle my information. If my backend server is down and I go to this application, it will show all data because it's in my browser IndexedDB. And if I change something, it's no problem. I can change everything, and if I enable the server again, it will all syncs back to the server. There's one small thing I don't like. If you also try the Firebase adapter, that's an other database that's online, and you have to pay for Firebase if you really use it. It just works the same as the Pouch adapter, but it works better. So I have to, in this after model part, I have to refresh my information, and in the Firebase adapter I don't have to do that. So if the person who is writing the CLI Pouch adapter in the future can take a look at that, because I don't think the after model fix I applied here is necessary. I'm not an Ember Data expert. I can fix it now. Perhaps half a year from now I understand what is wrong with the Pouch of Rome. It's not mature yet, I think, the Ember Pouch.
But still, I have a little bit trouble understanding what Ember Data communicates with. Does it communicate with the backend, which is then synchronized with the front end?
Yeah, the adapter is under Ember Data.
Yeah.
Always. In all my demos.
Yeah.
So the Pouch adapter is also under Ember Data. And then you've got something, the backend or your local IndexedDB.
So instead of adapter towards server, it's adapter towards another adapter towards the server.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that basically they designed Ember Data like that, right? Like there should be something sitting in between you and or your application and Ember Data, so you can sort of swap out your backend if you want.
Yeah.
And your front end is totally independent, right?
Yeah, I only have to change this for all the changes and it works. And if you want to go to Firebase, you only have to change the adapter and it works with Firebase.
Yeah.
This application works instantly with Firebase, for instance. Yeah, run for how many seconds?
By the way, you're running this on Windows, which is also something they've put a lot of time into, which is, I think it's pretty nice. You don't see a lot of these. Yeah, the Broccoli guys and the Ember guys, the entire thing works on Windows.
Yeah, there's some guy in Germany that's actively working on Ember CLI, and he's only a Windows guy. So, and well, I'm also a Windows guy, so I'm very happy with Ember CLI.
I was amazed. Like, I was like, how much time is going? But they've done the entire thing on Windows, and they're even like testing it regularly on Windows, which is impressive for me.
Yeah, the guy's name is Major Breakfast, I think. And
It's built on top of Node, or is it?
Yeah, it's Node based.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what kind of breakfast.
Sausage.
Major.
Beer.
Nice.
So how many seconds? The live load server listens on another port, and that refreshes your browser if something changed. So if you are switching to the production, you have to write Ember build, and it will build complete application in your dist folder, and it will not include the live reload and things, of course.
This is not live reload, right? Half-minute reload.
It's not live, you mean?
Good point.
Well, some people already applied some data. Well, here you see the table support for Markdown. An image I found on the internet. I didn't expect that it was all there. The mustaches, everything is there. So quite strange. Well, I hope. Yeah, this information is so it's in my browser, stored in my browser, and synced back to another CouchDB or PouchDB server, and it doesn't matter. The only thing you have to know, I don't know if this is the local CouchDB server. This is the information that's in the Meetup, the title and the body. So you can check it everywhere. It's very easy. You can replicate it from here. Yeah.
So yeah, it's the first time I see like a client-side database, but isn't that like a quite restricted use case? For instance, if you have a collaboration app, it's already kind of, you can break, essentially update the same material, but then you can't really merge it to the server-side database. If you're updating the same data.
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, you can do that. I'm not an expert on that, but it's done with 500,000 users. So I think it can be done, and there's in CouchDB there's some sort of filter function, and you can filter a part of the data from the main database. You can replicate to a user database, and you can sync the user database to your browser, and then it's only a small database. It's synced with the big backend database, and people who use the 500,000 users, they only sync when somebody logs in. So when somebody logs in, they sync very fast. They sync the local user database, and then they present it to the user. And because it's all versioning, what you see, version 4, version 2, they're all versions, and you can roll them back. So if somebody deletes all the data, that's not possible. You can always go back.
I think you get a version conflict if you try to post or put to data that's already been edited, and it will respond with an error message, and I think you can see the differences between the changes.
You can. It's document based, but the information in the document is also merged. So if you've got two separate parts, it will merge it, and it will show on both ends. It will show the same. I don't know how that's done, but it's working.
You have to do. Essentially, it's an application task, though, to deal with the merging, right?
Yeah, I don't have to do that. That's all in PouchDB.
Oh, the Pouch will do this?
Yeah.
But what if there's a conflict?
It will solve it.
Okay, that sounds like something else. But obviously there are rules that happen, right?
Perhaps you can hook into some error message or some status file or something, I don't know. But it works. I've tested all kinds of combinations. It does what you want.
But it's also a really rare case to have two updates at exactly the same time.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
One of them is offline for a period, just editing.
Yeah, I think,
Internet.
I don't know CouchDB, but I think they probably would have thought of something to solve it.
The CouchDB project is very old already, so
Yeah, or Couchbase, but
yeah. So the PouchBase is also old, but the Ember Pouch is new, and I hope it will improve because, as I said, the refresh part I don't think it's necessary. So I hope it will go away and go into the adapter. One thing you need to know about CouchDB or every backend is that you always need to enable CORS because there's some restriction in your browser. So if your browser is on one URL and your database is on another server or other URL, it's forbidden to get the data, and you have to enable CORS in CouchDB to enable this. So when PouchDB talks to CouchDB, it will start with an options header, and this options header will include CORS headers, and if you send those CORS headers to get, put, post, head, and delete, then the data is retrieved from the server without any restrictions. And your browser does it. Just the normal Ajax calls will work. The CORS is also by standard enabled in the Fortune.js server, so I didn't know about CORS almost before I started using CouchDB. So this is what I learned as a beginner. This Ember CLI blog app, I put it on GitHub, and there's a live example on the internet where everybody can write his information. So it's synced to my local machine and to my PouchDB, so it contains the same information. Or perhaps somebody is now editing, and it will it will add to this view. So everybody in the world can now edit this, and it syncs to IrisCouch, which is a CouchDB provider that's not sending. You don't have to pay for it as long as you don't pass the $5 a month data usage. And I haven't passed it yet. But perhaps if you all start editing, I have to pay $5.
Yeah, great. It would be great if you could post a link to at least the GitHub project on the Meetup page.
Yeah, I will do that.
How did you deploy the application itself?
On an Apache server.
Just Apache?
Yes, and I had to write some Apache voodoo, of course, always. And it is in the project, of course. It's also on GitHub, and it is in the. It is not on this.
This probably.
I don't know. It's not on this instance. I think.
Probably something like mod rewrite to get everything to index.
Yeah,
to
it's
right?
not on this. I will break everything. Yeah, it's there. So you have to write this to get the Ember part working. I don't know if that needs explaining.
It's fine. Yeah. Just a virtual host with an index.
But it's also in, it's not in the project because it's in the IrisCouch
you want to serve images or style sheets, you have to alter the rest of it.
Well, this is my talk. I hope somebody learned.